Mermaids of Shelldovia, Book 1, Sirens at Sea, Chapter 2, The Siren's Curse, Sazquis' POV. I have to go back. That was all I'd been thinking about for the past hour. I couldn't stop thinking about that mermaid, and Zavlok's bite on her tail. I knew that the venom would surely kill her within a few hours. No doubt her healer would not know what to do about it. I am almost certain that merpeople know nothing about our deadly venom. I'm sure they are not even aware of the dangers of a siren's fangs. A siren's most lethal defense is our venom. It kills any creature once it enters their bloodstream. There has not been a single person or animal of any kind that survived exposure to it. What will happen to her? I know she's a mermaid, but I still feel like I should help. Sazquis. Pythareus' voice broke me away from my thoughts. I faced him and bowed. Lord Pythareus. Pythareus smiled. How many times must I tell you to call me father, he said. Sazquis, I want to honor you for the courage you showed in the battle. I was shocked at how gentle his tone was. Thank you, I stammered. I was utterly confused by his behavior. What about Zavlok? I thought angrily. What about your son? Pythareus was silent, and for a moment I thought he could read my mind. He placed his hands on my shoulders, and I tried not to shiver at his touch. It always made me uncomfortable whenever he was this nice to me, instead of Zavlok. Don't. I don't deserve your kindness. You should be treating your son this way, not me. I am proud of you, Sazquis, he continued. Come with me. There's something I want to show you. I followed Pythareus to a different part of the palace, where the Great Council members were. The Great Council of Sirens is a group of the oldest and wisest sirens. We call upon them in great times of need. I'm sure the merpeople must have something similar. All in all, there are 8 members in the Great Council of Sirens. Zamis, Alarius, Marana, Uvana, Verenius, and Elena. I was filled with shock as I entered the room. Sazquis, welcome to the Great Council of Sirens, Pythareus announced proudly. I gazed around at 8 new faces in confusion. What is this? I asked. Sazquis, you are the 9th member of the Great Council. Welcome. I stared in surprise at his words. This feels wrong. Free. I'm finally free. I smiled as I sped away from the palace hours later. It was a long and very boring meeting that lasted probably close to 4 hours and a half, maybe more. I flicked my tail as fast as it would allow and swam more quickly. The whole thing had made me so uncomfortable. I was grateful to be free, and I had mixed feelings about it. I knew it was a great honor to be elected as the 9th member of the Great Council, but something just felt off about it to me. It wasn't the other members' fault that I felt that way. Maybe it was because of how much more affectionate Pythareus was being towards me suddenly. Not that he's ever been rude to me or treated me badly before. I've always been someone who truly impressed him and made him proud. But still, Zavlok deserves better. Hey, Sazquis. I'd been so caught up in my thoughts that I didn't even notice he was there until he spoke. I turned around and smiled in relief at seeing my best friend. Zavlok, you have no idea how happy I am to see you right now, I cried, immediately hugging him. Zavlok looked confused but hugged me back with a smile. So, what's going on? He inquired. We stopped hugging for a moment, and I moved back a couple paces. Should I tell him about the Great Council? I know how much he wants to impress his father, so maybe it's not such a good idea, but lying is worse, right? Zavlok, I began uncertainly, I have something to tell you. My heart sped up, and I tried to calm my nerves. Go on, Zavlok prodded. Please don't be mad, please don't be mad, please don't be mad. I looked down at my hands anxiously before answering. Promise me you won't be angry with me, but Pythareus has elected me as the 9th member of the Great Council. And? Zavlok's voice was calm as he listened to me speak. There was no trace of anger in his tone, Was he worried about me? Are you angry with me? I burst out, unable to contain the question that had been lurking in the back of my mind. No, I'm not, Sazquis answered, gazing at me softly. In fact, I think it's a wonderful thing. Really? I was taken aback by his reaction. But I would have thought, with your father. I trailed off, expecting anger from Sazquis at the mention of his father. Sazquis, it's okay, Sazquis assured me, gently taking my hand in his. All the fear I had felt before instantly vanished the moment I felt his touch. I looked into his eyes as he looked deeply into mine. There was affection and love in his gaze, and I stayed there feeling breathless for a few moments. What is this feeling? Sazquis kissed my hand softly, and I immediately felt myself blushing. My heart began to beat faster the longer I looked at him. I felt my face getting hot and desperately wanted to turn away so he wouldn't see how flustered I was, but at the same time, I didn't want to stop looking at him. Before I could say or do anything else, Sazquis kissed my lips ever so gently. My heart fluttered even faster. I wanted this moment to last forever. Nothing else mattered to me anymore. There was only Sazquis. He pulled away, smiling. I opened my mouth, wanting to say something, anything that would tell him I felt the same way, but no words came. He had left me completely and utterly speechless. And in that moment, he spoke the words I could not. I love you, Sazquis. I love you too, Sazquis, I choked out, unsure of what I just heard. It's not that I felt strange or wrong. It wasn't even that I didn't feel the same way he did. It was just so surprising. In all the time that I'd known him, I never knew Sazquis could be so gentle. It was so comforting, and it brought me peace I never thought I'd feel. I felt like I was floating. So you had something to tell me too, after all. I was so happy, and yet I knew I couldn't stay. I knew I had to go back and save the mermaids. Some small voice within me couldn't keep quiet about it. I knew that going against Pythagoras could have some serious consequences, but I also knew that I had to do something or we would all be paying the price for it. Sadness filled my heart as I realized what I would have to do. I had to leave you behind, Sazquis. I'm so sorry. Sazquis. Suddenly, and without warning, an unknown voice whispered in my name. I paused for several moments and waited in silence, not completely sure whether I had imagined it. Sazquis, I need your help. The voice returned, but louder this time. Sazquis, are you okay? Sazquis asked. I'd been so distracted by the voice that I had forgotten he was there. I guessed by Sazquis' reactions that he couldn't hear the voice. I shook my head. Yes, I'm fine, I said, and I'll catch up with you later. Pythagoras has some things that he wants me to do first. Council business, you know. Sazquis nodded and swam off. Not long after he was gone, the voice spoke again. I know you can hear me, it said. I need your help. Who are you? And where are you? I demanded. You will find out when you are there, came the answer. You must go back to Shelldovia. The Mermaid Queen is in grave danger. You must find her and save her. How? I asked, but the voice had gone. I sighed and sat with my back against a rock. I couldn't quite believe what I had just heard. I didn't know whether I was crazy or if the voice was real. But it seemed too much of a coincidence that it had echoed exactly what I had been thinking all this time ever since the battle. Then it's true, I thought grimly. I must leave here. I opened the portal and looked around carefully, making sure no one had seen me. Once I was sure I was alone, I swam through. I thought of Shelldovia and was whisked away on a current. I swam along the current for several minutes until I arrived through the exit. I kept swimming, but then stopped a moment. How was I going to do this? Since the recent attack, the merpeople would surely recognize me. It won't matter once I save the queen, and besides, I don't have time to work something else out. I stared in the distance at the palace. I took a deep breath and continued on. As I came closer, I became more nervous seeing the merpeople busily swimming around. Despite feeling scared, I kept going, remembering what the voice had said. I couldn't help but wonder who it was that had reached out to me. How did they know who I was? How did they know my name? It weirded me out how the voice had asked me to come to Shelldovia. It was as if they had read my mind. As I got closer, a mermaid approached me, but I quickly ducked out of the way and hid behind some coral. I watched carefully from behind my hiding place, and the mermaid passed. Suddenly, I could hear voices. What are we going to do? I don't know, Avanis. I'm doing everything I can. What if she dies? Please, you have to save Kira. I'm doing all I can. Kira? So she's here. I followed the direction of the voice to a small cave. I peeked inside to see 4 mermaids hovering around the 5th one worriedly. The 5th one seemed to be unconscious. That must be Kira. So my suspicions were correct, and the venom has taken hold of her. That's what she meant. But how would I get inside without getting caught? I shook my head. It didn't matter how I did it, just that I did it. I didn't have time to think. I had to take action, and fast. I was about to swim inside when the older mermaid said something, and the others burst through the entrance. I moved away so that they wouldn't spot me, and made sure that they had completely swum past me before going inside. I approached Kira and carefully inspected her. Sure enough, the venom had begun to circulate through her body at a rapid rate. She had become very sick as a result. I got to work putting together a potion. I combined several elements in a small vial, and then finalized it with the power of the sun. I chanted the spell, and Kira's body began to glow. Please work, I prayed. Suddenly there was a bright flash, and then Kira's body temperature began to cool down, and she breathed more deeply. I sighed with relief. She's lucky I came, since sirens are the only ones who work with sunlight. If it hadn't been for me, she wouldn't have made it. I heard voices and realized the others must be returning. I quickly opened the portal and swam through before they entered the cave again. I couldn't risk them finding me. It would be enough of a shock that their queen had miraculously been healed under mysterious circumstances. I moved away quickly and ducked out of sight. Thank you, Sazquis. But this isn't over. You must end the war and bring peace back to the sea. You must return to Shelldovia and help defend them from the sirens. Peace will only be achieved by reason. Come to an agreement with the queen and her people. You will soon see that you are not the only one who knows that there is another way to end it all. The voice vanished as quickly as it had come. I was left with too many questions unanswered. How could I go back to Shelldovia in a time like this? What did any of this mean? Negotiation with the merpeople? How? It all seemed impossible. Sirens and merpeople have never gotten along, for as long as I could remember. What am I going to do? What will I tell Zavlok? I knew that once I made the decision to leave my home, I could never return. Things would be different from here on out. Zavlok would be heartbroken once he figured out the truth. I would be leaving everything behind me. I was more scared of what Petherius would say once I disappeared. He might even assume I had been captured by the merpeople and was being held captive. From now on, there was no going back.